And welcome back. We're about to enter round 4 of the I-League and StarLadder Hearthstone tournament. I'm Tannen Grace. I'm joined by Lothar here, and we got a little bit of a guest there. There's a cat moving around here. So we have our guest third
This one?
commentator here for this match. Yeah, there we go. I'm a cat guy. I like him. But we have a great match here in the fourth match. We have Xixo versus Jab. Both of these guys are coming off losses. Xixo was swept in the first round very quickly by Nyria, and Jab, it felt like he got swept in the second round by Firebat, but he got a win.
Yeah, that's true. Like, those guys are in a bad position right now. No one wants to be that guy that loses twice in a row in a tournament. So this will be kind of a nervous situation for both of them. That Xixo did pull out his, I don't know how to even name that. I think that's from an anime, right?
Yeah, maybe. I can't really see it, but Xixo, he's known for having a lot of swag and stuff. He's got some great hats here, and then we have what might be his signature deck as well. The deck he's been known for playing for the last few months and had amazing finishes on the ladder stuff with in Patron Warrior. And they nerfed Warsong Commander, but Patron still won the World Championship this year. The deck is still real. It's still there. It's still very good, and this is one of its good matchups as well.
Yeah, the Zoo matchup, I mean, it might not be the best one, because it still relies on sticky minions, which are pesky to deal with, but the weapons are the MVP here. And Xixo had the Fear War Axe, so that allowed him to have some board control in the beginning, but now he's super aggressive with the plays. Look at how fast he is playing, wow.
Yeah, this is something Xixo does a lot, right? I mean, in the matches or two that I've seen from him, he seems to play very quickly. I mean, he probably plays just as much Hearthstone as almost anybody in the world. So I gotta believe, he knows what plays he's gonna be making almost every turn. So he doesn't, feel that he's losing too many value points by playing super fast. And Jab's gonna start taking away this board with some, as you said, his minions are sticky, they stay around, and he's gonna let them, survive this unstable goal.
Yeah, they survive, but at the same time, there's the second execute, but this gives a green light to every single big minion in Jab's hand, and this might be a PO Voidter turn just to deal insane amount of damage and build a how big minion? Like Voidter is 3/3/5/5/9/9 minion on the board, but no, he goes for the low tab instead.
Yeah, I would have been interested to see what happens if he does push 6 there and then just makes one gigantic minion with Void Terror. It's interesting to think about what he's playing around, but I think that was actually possibly a pretty good spot to do that as well. I kind of liked your idea there in your line since you've seen both executes already.
Yeah, I mean, there will be still an option to do that, but it will be a much slower approach. This is why he's now pushed to use the life tap instead of developing the board. And he just played a defensive Argus and went aggressive with Lothar, which I like, because as we know, there are no buffs apart from Taskmaster, and we already saw one, and the Whirlwind doesn't really have a big effect here, so it might be a very good move to upgrade the low tip, because your opponent will have to trade anyway. But this leaves up a Patron on board, and that would be very interesting. Will Jab go for the Implosion on the healthy 3/3 Patron, or he goes with a safe route and just chooses Doomguard here to clear up the Patrons?
Yeah, I think he's going to take the Implosion route. It's a 66% chance to get it right here. Plus, he gets 4, and you just saw Whirlwind out of Xixo's hand. Yeah. So I like this play from Jab here. Also, I want to talk about this card that Jab just drew, Argent Squire. In Zoo is not a card you always see, but I'm actually a pretty big fan of it because I love the interaction with Argent Squire and Power Overwhelming with Void Terror. Because it allows you to Power Overwhelming a minion, run into another minion without losing stats off of it, and then consume it for full value by your Void Terror.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. And now he has like full board control, and Xixo already used his executes early on in the game. And a Whirlwind too, so he's in a really tough spot.
Now, do you like that strategy from Xixo using the executes? I want to say aggressively here because he used them early. I mean, they seemed like good executes during the turns, but do you feel that maybe he got a little too aggressive with one of them and maybe should have held back a tiny bit and played for more value?
He was kind of too aggressive, but I might be kind of judgmental here, but at the same time, I think he was just asking too just being too aggressive with his executes, and maybe there was another way of dealing with those minions there. Really interesting that.
And now you're going to see Jab take full advantage of the fact that he knows there are no more executes here. And he just made a 9/8 Void Terror, and he's going to protect it with a Void Walker here from some crazy Grom activations going on in a turn or two. I know there's like a couple backdoor outs or whatever, but Xixo is going to keep playing this out. He's going to make a giant Frothing Berserker, but I don't know if this is going to be enough, even with this Dread Corsair.
Yeah, this might be just too much. I mean, 9/8 minion to which you have no answer apart from maybe a big game hunter in your deck. This might be very tough to deal with.
Yeah, and Xixo does get to cycle through some of his deck here, but the second iteration not going to be that great, and Jab's going to slam the Snipe Juggler into play because this Doom Guard behind it, it's just perfect. It even leaves him 2 mana to tap this turn if he wants. I mean, he's firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, and this was a really quick match, I guess. Like, the insane amount of damage here coming from the Doomguard and 9/8 Void Terror just sealed the deal easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is 17 here, so Xixo will get, I think, 1 more turn as well. If he just, unless he wants to drink. Yeah, I don't know if a card he can draw here. Xixo,
Brawl.
I mean, I was going to say, does he ever play a Brawl in his decks? I've seen some people play 1 sometimes, but it's not a card that you see too often.
Yeah, and I don't blame Jab for trading with the minion here. Like, his position is dominant the whole game, and it doesn't really matter now if he spares the minion and deals additional 5 damage when he still has the board and lethal next in. And there's the big game hunter actually.
Yeah, now that was something I thought we could possibly see from Xixo, is a big game hunter, and this is a card that could possibly get him back in this.
Now let's see, there's how much damage? Only 5 damage. Actually, no, this makes a huge difference. I was already saying that Jab had won, but this is turning the game around.
Yeah, big top deck there from Xixo, but here's the thing, Jab, he has his life tap for the rest of the game. I mean, he's going to be doing this, and that's actually just going to be the game right there, yeah.
Yeah. So he needed that to finish off the game, and he had still one PO in the deck. One abuse of Satan was not enough, of course. So that was like, and another Doomguard. So there's few outs in the rest of the remaining cards of the deck. But without that big game hunter, it was already over. So Xixo was kinda lucky with drawing the big game hunter, as this was the last card that was actually putting him back into the game. But it was not enough. The aggressive start from Jab was just too much, when especially when the executes were used as 1 damage cards, like an example against the Pile Shredder, which is kind of lackluster when you think about it, right? Like,
yeah, I felt like it was a little aggressive. Yeah, I feel that it maybe could have held on to 1. I mean, it's hard to question a play from Xixo with Patreon, because he's so good with the deck. And he just knows what to do in like every situation. So it's really hard to question some of his plays sometimes, but it did feel a little aggressive to me. And it looks like Jab has got, one of the typical Druid hands. And how does he want to play this? If he innervates out this Raptor, he doesn't really do anything for the next couple of turns, but he is playing against Paladins. So sometimes you just want to get on the board and start pressuring them. But they have stuff like, Noble Sacrifice, which you actually see in his hand, and then cards like Minibot, Shielded Minibot, which can just answer this right away. So this isn't the best thing in the world.
But I think it's needed, just because of the fact that you're playing the aggressive Druid, I guess, and you have no turn 2 drop, and your first play will be Raptor, which is very unsatisfying when you're playing an aggressive deck. So I'm not blaming him at all for just innovating the Raptor, even though he's lacking a turn 2 or turn 3, but you need that damage at the beginning of the game, and Raptor is kind of sticky, so even though it might get killed by something like a weapon or a trap, it's still a good play here.
Put this apple on your head.
There, he did. I'm hoping we were being heard right now. he did attack with his hero power first to kind of play around the fact that that's possibly Noble Sacrifice, because he doesn't want to just lose his rep there and there. We got video back. We're back in. Hopefully everyone can hear us. We got just a little bit of a technical difficulty for a second there, but the guys at StarLadder, they know what they're doing. That was quick. That was a very quick fix.
Yeah, well, you know, Skype problems, Skype things.
Yeah.
But and now Jeb has to attack with his Raptor because he doesn't have the hero power again for a second attack, so he needs to sacrifice his Raptor for the 1 mana secret, which is not the biggest deal in the world, especially if you top deck something like a Pile Shredder next in, but this is giving it a chance. And now it all depends on that. Oh, he's actually playing a mid-range Druid. So mid-range Druid with Raptors. That's very interesting.
Yeah, this is something he's been doing actually for like the last week or two. I've watched his stream a decent bit, and he just likes the Raptors in it for value. You know, it's another early card to play. It keeps minions on the board. It's good with Savage Roar. You know, you almost always have a minion.
Okay.
He's actually played this in a tournament a little bit as well. I think he used it to qualify for this, if I remember correctly. I know that I saw him tweeting about it. And it's hard to keep up with. I mean, I follow like 200 to 250 Hearthstone players, so it's hard to keep up with you know, everything everyone says. But he likes this card a lot in his deck.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a great card. I'm playing with it with the aggressive Druid, and this is why I made the assumption that it is one, right? But it seems like he found a way to use that in the mid round, which I really like.
Yeah, it looks like we're just going to change spectator mode here. We are shackled by technology of, you know, Blizzard, and this is going to be a good swipe for Jab here. He had a swipe left over in his hand, so Jab is up 1-0 in this match. Xixo is the one playing Paladin. We had to switch it perspective for you there. We'll get the hand fixed for you guys as soon as possible. Anyone who's ever used the spectator client from Hearthstone before can probably feel our pain. Yeah. You know how it feels. But yeah, so Jab again. Just here's the thing: he's can't regain the board from Xixo here. That swipe was good last turn, but still, oh wow, he has a Doctor Boom. we can't see Jab's hands. We're kind of having to play blind here, but this is a good Mysterious Challenger as well.
Yeah,
it looks like we're going to get both views back.
Yes, there it is.
There we go.
So now the Mysterious Challenger will be a very good card in this situation. I mean, what can you probably want to have else on turn 6 on this one?
It's only a mini Christmas tree. You didn't get the full one here. You know, we only got 3 secrets. It looks like
the Noble Sacrifice is missing, right?
Right. Yeah, the Noble Sacrifice is probably missing. I don't know if it was green or not, if he could have played it or not, because he only had 6 mana, so there's no way to see if there is a Noble Sacrifice up. But you got to believe there's an Avenge. We've
he
seen
played one Noble Sacrifice already, right?
Oh, okay. There's
on turn 2, he attacked with the hero power to get the Mounted Raptor through.
Yeah. Well, no, he has one in his hand. I'm just saying. So yeah, there's no.
Yeah.
Noble
Oh yeah,
right.
sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like Jab is going to be able to set up some defenses here and try to hold on to this Doctor Boom and try to ride that to victory. Luckily enough for him, he gets to keep all of its toughness here as well. There's no Repentance to really get him here. Repentance is a pretty good one when you have a Knife Juggler in play.
It's definitely good against Druid. It's definitely good against Warlocks because they can't play those big pesky minion giants and Taunters and other things that are dealing just with usual swarm of minions from the Paladin. But now Xixo is in full control. That Power Shield just gives so much possible outs for trading.
And it looks like Jab's going to have to use Force of Nature, Savage Roar. How many times have we seen this today? We've seen one combo kill people, but we've seen it way more times being the defensive combos, you know, trying to clear the board here. And he's going to need this Avenge to be very, very nice for him here. If this Avenge lands on the Mysterious Challenger, this is bad. Okay. It feels like to me it always lands on the Challenger. Like you always have a 1-1, a 1-1, a 2-1, and then like a 10-9. You know, like you always have this like the one gigantic minion. You're like, come on, just give me the Avenge on anything else. You know?
And now Xixo needs to top deck a Taunt or anything that will stop a hero power from his opponent.
It doesn't look like he was able to do that. As it looks like Jab is going to be able to. He just has a Keeper of the Grove anyway. Even if it was something like Noble Sacrifice, he's going to go through and. Man, Druid wreaks havoc on the spectator client, does it not? Everyone who's like choice cards and stuff, it just messes it up so much. And Jab up to a quick 2-0 here.
Quick 2-0, and even though the Druid is in theory unfavored against the Paladin, he took it, and he took it convincingly. Like he took it aggressively with good decision. And even though there was a turn 6, turn 6 Mr. Challenger, he was not afraid of that. And
Yeah,
even though there was an insane turn with Cockhammer into trade with the 7-5 Divine Shielded Mr. Challenger into a Dr. Boom, he still won the game.
Yeah, and I kind of like where Jab is. He is up 2-0 in this match, and he gets Hunter for all 3 games, if there is any more. Xixo, not only is he looking to get on the board and win some games here to try to not be swept out of the game by Jab and go 0-2 here, he's just looking into the board, period. He got swept by Nyria in like what felt like 10 minutes in his first match, and it looks like we might be having a repeat of it here today. His draws are just not cooperating with him.
Yeah, definitely true. Like, it's kind of hard to not to laugh at someone's like bad luck, right? But
right, yeah.
I feel him. I feel him. Like, sometimes it's really harsh.
I mean, anyone who's played enough Hearthstone, there's days where it just feels like you can't win. You lose 10 games in a row where you just keep losing your 50 and 75 percenters, or these 10% things happen for your opponent. And you're like, I don't know how to play around this. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, that's true.
So anyone can have a bad day, even someone as good as Xixo, someone at his kind of skill level. And it looks like we've got a freezing trap up here for Jab. He's got the snake trap in his hand.
The freezing trap is not that impactful right now, and the snake trap is even worse in this situation because you can't really play it when your opponent has a death spite and actually plays the Patron Warrior, because it has so much whirlwind effects.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, Xixo has the dream here. This is going to be a lot of patrons, by the way.
Now, yes, of course, if you can sustain the position on the board till the moment you can drop those patrons of inner rages, that is just insane.
Now, here's a question. Do you even play around Unleash the Hounds? Like, can you afford to? I mean, you're at 23 here. It's like a relatively high enough life total.
But what would you play around Unleash the Hounds? You get 7 damage,
yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it fills up their board. I mean, it's not the end of the world is what I'm trying to say, and I don't think there's a way that you ever should. It looks like Jab is going to actually try to do some board control here. Can't blame him. This is pretty imposing from the other side. He's going to have to hope that Xixo is just kind of out of gas after this, because it's going to be kind of hard for Jab to stay in this. He does get a high main next turn, though. That might be something to help him out.
But we have to remember that there's a freezing trap, so one of the patrons will bounce back, which is kind of hilarious when you think about it.
Yeah, he gets to kind of reload the patron, yeah.
Yeah. It's basically saying, like, well, actually, I got a second chance. So.
Mm-hmm. Unstable goal off the top off that Battle Rage for Xixo, and he follows it up with an Armor Smith and doesn't attack. I like this no attack from Xixo here. He's just establishing a board that's going to be so hard for Jab to get through because, I mean, there's so much life gain over there. The Armor Smith plus Unstable goal is just so damning against Hunter. This is something they never want to play against.
Mm-hmm. True. Now let's see what will be happening for Jab. But like, he has to play the Savannah Highway. I don't see another option here. There's no other way he can play around it.
Now, how does Jab get into this game? Like, how does he win from here? Is he just going to have to move in on Houndmasters and just make one gigantic high main? Is that a winning play?
Win? I mean, I'm usually not saying that someone already won, but I did it like last time before Xixo top decked the Big Game Hunter, but it's still lost. Mm-hmm. But this seems like almost unlosable, especially with the Armor Smith already on board, It's
and this top deck
hard.
Yeah, and the top deck of Whirlwind here is actually going to put it. Yeah, I was going to say there's no way Jab's coming back from this situation because he gets to rebuy his damaged Grim Patron that has one damage on it. Then he had the Whirlwind effect go off for a ton of extra power that turn, a ton of extra patrons, and Jab's left with just a lowly Savannah High main. I can't believe we're saying that. It's like the best minion in the game, but he can't attack through this Unstable Ghoul without giving so much more value over to Xixo.
Yeah, and even though he might just toned up the Savannah High main, it still easily dies to the patrons, and then it gets the patrons duplicated after the attacks. So it's something that you really don't want to see on the board.
Yeah, and you know what? Xixo, talking about getting on the board, that was a big win for Xixo. I mean, even if you lose this match, no one wants to go 0-2, 0-6. Just getting a win because, no one wants to have to deal with that, sleep on that and come back tomorrow. Like, I lost every game I played. So, good for Xixo there to, keep himself in these games, keep a clear level head, and stay in this. And
Definitely true.
that's an Unleash the Hounds in Jab's hand. That's a pretty important one in this matchup, right?
Yeah, it is very important in this matchup. It's like the MVP of this matchup, especially when your opponent is holding the Master of a Battle. But I think what Xixo might do next turn is just coin out Blessing of Kings. It's so hard to deal with when your opponent doesn't have a Silence or Hunter's Mark.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you here. And he might be favoring Keeper of Uldaman just as since it gets a 3/4 body on the board. And if he wouldn't have top decked this, I 100% agree with you. I think Blessing of Kings is the best play. It's the most pressure without playing into a lot of what Jab can do to answer you from here.
But it seems like he went for the Keeper of Uldaman, which builds additional body and acts like a half of a Blessing of Kings, what I don't blame at all. And it does this turn 6 Mysterious Challenger, which will make a huge difference.
Yeah, and this is a card that anyone who knows me and knows about Paladin knows that I love. I actually played 2 Cog Hammers on every one of my Paladin decks. I love this card, mostly because of this matchup. I hate losing to Hunter, and they have such a problem dealing with that card.
Yeah, that's true. The Divine Shield is a problem for Hunter because usually they don't have the option to deal 1 damage easily. So it feels very difficult for Hunter to remove a Divine Shield and a Taunt at the same time, unless you have a Unleash the Hounds, because that's most likely the only way to deal with those minions.
Now, importantly for Jab, this Loatheb was actually pretty good this turn. It's going to keep Xixo from advancing his board too much. I mean, he's going to be able to take care of the Loatheb, but he's just getting a hero power for his turn. He's not able to Blessing of Kings, he's not able to muster for battle. So, small victories for Jab, but you got to take it where you can get it. And he top decks a Knife Juggler. He's going to be able to combine this with his Hunter's Mark and his Unleash. He's going to regain this board.
Yeah, and this is what he needed. This is what he needed to maybe take control of the game back, even though there might be a Mysterious Challenger next turn. But he cleared the whole board, and that makes the Mysterious Challenger less impactful than it should have been.
Yeah,
even though he has the Cogmaster to destroy the Knife Juggler in response.
I mean, yeah, you definitely want an actual board when you play your Mysterious Challenger. You're never excited about it being by itself. And, I mean, Jab, I think he's okay with playing a 7/1 Dr. Boom here, right? I mean, if there's a Repentance, because there's 4 secrets up for Xixo. And he didn't see one last game, though, so there's a chance he might not think it's there. But, I mean, what other option are you going to do this turn? I mean, Mad Scientist Tundra Rhino doesn't feel as good to me as playing Dr. Boom.
No, definitely not. He has to go for the Dr. Boom, but I wouldn't count on him attacking this turn.
Yeah,
it might just be Dr. Boom and nothing else.
Yeah, it actually adds power to the board if he attacks, right?
Yes, because it adds the Redemption, it adds the Avenge. So you will have to use the second doggy to sacrifice to the 2/1, but your opponent's Mysterious Challenger is a 9/8. So you would have to attack also with the 3rd dog to the Mysterious Challenger to ensure that the opponent might trade with the Dr. Boom and just, die in response. But the problem is if he has a second Coghammer, then that's a huge problem. Oh wait, I forgot about the competitor. Yeah, the 3rd dog wasn't necessary to attack. Wasn't actually needed to attack in the Mysterious Challenger.
Yeah, and so, I mean, Xixo is a little up against it here now as well. I mean, he's going to be able to take care of this Dr. Boom, but he's going to have to start giving up a lot of his board here. But I like this, actually. Just put this on the Mysterious Challenger and make it really hard for Jab to answer this.
And that setup's lethal for next turn. I'm not sure what will Jab do. Will he sacrifice the bombs to maybe clear the Mysterious Challenger? I mean, he will win by hero powering this game, so he's not necessarily needed. He doesn't necessarily need to race.
Yeah, so this is a play that doesn't always feel good when you have to kill command an opposing minion, but I like this play obviously because it's going to keep him alive and take care of the giant Mysterious Challenger. Plus, this is putting a little pressure on Xixo. A Tundra Rhino on it's going to be an empty board. This is really scary.
Yeah, and 3 damage from the bomb is also a huge deal.
Yeah, because there are a couple cards that are actually just lethal for Jab here off the top of the deck.
Yeah, that's just crazy. That is just crazy. Every single beast has charge, but there are no beasts in his hand. Houndmaster adds 4 additional 2 damage to the board, and he can still develop the Pile Destroyer instead of a hero power. But I feel like Mad Scientist into hero power might be more impactful than the Pulse Shredder itself.
Yeah, it matters what secrets Jab has left, but yeah, you might be actually right there that it might be correct just to Mad Scientist and Hero Power, get that guaranteed 2 in from your Hero Power, and make sure that your next one sets 6-0 to 2, because this game isn't going much longer. I mean, it's going to be decided over the next turn or two.
Yep, it's true.
Jab's going to take his time. I like him taking his time in his decision, because this feels like the game to me. This feels like this is the penultimate turn that he needs to make the right decision here. If he makes the wrong one, he could possibly lose the game from here. Mm-hmm. Hey, how do you like that Shredder placement?
Aha! PogChamp! Let's see what it can do.
All right, well, Xixo picks this Abusive Sergeant. So he's got 6 burst from his hand, but I don't think he's going to be able to find enough to get through, because that Tundra Rhino is going to be probably a little too big to get through and still deal lethal damage to Jab. Mm-hmm. So it looks like Xixo is going to have to definitely exert board control here, because he's at a very precarious life total of 6 here. But Abusive Sergeant does allow him to do some trading. That's not where he wanted that bomb to go. Oh, a 0 power minion comes out of Jab's Shredder. Yeah, I mean, if he draws an extra card, maybe it's okay. But the problem is that he's going to be facing lethal on the way back.
Wow, that's huge. Now let's see what he will draw if the Net Pega will draw a card.
Well, hold on. Was he supposed to... Yeah, that minion doesn't matter, actually, because he already had 4 minions in play. So Unleash the Hounds would have been lethal already. He draws Owl into Sludge Belcher.
So the Owl will be cast on the bomb to decrease the amount of damage that will be coming in. But this is such a huge turnaround.
Yeah, do you Mad Scientist or do you Hero Power? Like, I guess this is why I get the body in play.
This is why I was favoring Mad Scientist instead of the Pulse Shredder, because you would have deal 2 damage the previous turn, which would have put you in a position to have better outs this turn.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. Especially the way the game is played out. Not trying to be results oriented, but I kind of agreed with you during the turn, and now seeing it the way the game played out, I have to agree with you. I think it was correct that he should have possibly just Mad Scientist and Hero Power last turn, because now you'd have 6-0, just my Hero Power is lethal.
Yeah, exactly. So
6-0 still has to navigate this board. He doesn't have his bomb anymore. His bomb is silent, so it's actually just a 1/1 minion here. So he's going to have to trade in Dr. Boom for the front half of a Shredder here.
That doesn't feel good at all. And he used the Blessing of Kings, so this makes it really awkward.
Yeah, and you got to believe he's at least taking at least one of these minions off the board, if not more. But I think 6-0 is just going to have to hope and pray here that Jab doesn't draw damage.
Doesn't draw damage, but at the same time... Wow, this is so important. Next Jordan, and that Pego can actually make a difference too.
Yeah, he might get 2 draws here, but the thing is, does 6-0 even have lethal set up for next turn? He doesn't have lethal set up for next turn, so... Yeah,
well,
Jab is like
4, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage, so he misses 2 damage.
Yeah, and Jab can make it to where his Hero Power is lethal this turn, or do you trade in for one of the minions? Because here's the thing, he can't play Quartermaster with the way the board is now without trading in. So, I mean, Quartermaster's still lethal, actually. There's no way around that. I'm trying to think if there's a reason to trade here instead of go face.
Well, going face guarantees win next turn.
Oh, Noble Sacrifice might actually do it.
And I actually thought that going face was the correct decision. The one damage doesn't really matter if your opponent it does matter for the consecration only, not for anything else. So I think it was actually a huge deal to not attack.
And I actually like cleaning up Natpiggle here, not only because of the extra card draw, but if there were something like Glavezuka, it could actually, well, I mean, Glavezuka is still lethal actually as well, because you get attack with Glavezuka and something else plus a Hero Power.
It's kind of, man, this match is hilarious.
Yeah, this game is unbelievable. It's so funny. This Noble Sacrifice, the last one in the deck, is actually so relevant here. Because now 6-0 is going to be able to set up lethal for next turn.
Yep, and Jab has a chance to draw the Quick Shot, the second kill command. A weapon will also guarantee him a win. A Hopper, you're right, a Hopper will also guarantee a win.
Bear Trap's not going to do it.
Freezing Trap, what? That is so horrible.
Yeah, and you gotta know Jab in his mind's like, why didn't I Hero Power one of these last 2 turns? You know, I've skipped Hero Power for 2 straight turns. My opponent's at 2.
Yeah.
If he somehow loses this game, you gotta believe that's gonna haunt him.
this is why he will lose the game if he will lose the game. Like
but
not hero powering instead of playing the Pulse Shredder. That was the big problem.
yeah, I don't think Xixo is going to be able to get this done though, because he's not going to be able to deal enough damage to kill Jab here through this Bear Trap, right?
The Bear Trap makes a huge difference here too.
Yeah,
because it's free damage that will be soaked. Wait, he can attack with the 100 Creeper. So this might get him 2 damage, and he has still 1 damage from the attack from the hero power, and I mean from the hand, and unfortunately that's it. If he would actually get the free damage from the Knife Juggler, that was lethal for him. But this
he had
way,
exactly enough if all the juggles went exactly into Jab's face. Okay.
Yeah. That was kind of harsh, you know. But at the same time, Jab was playing too defensively. This is something I'm trying to emphasize on to players, like take note and be more aggressive most of the time. And by aggressive, I don't mean to play the bigger minion. Sometimes just use your hero power more, more often, because that is guaranteed damage when the minion you're playing, when your opponent has already board control, is not guaranteed damage. So in this situation, the hero power of Hunter had such a huge impact on the game. It would finish the game 3 turns before than this nervous situation that we had right now between Jab and Xixo. So Jab takes it 3-1.
Yeah, and so Jab doesn't fall to 0-2. Xixo kind of having a rough day here in this group. As we said, this group is so talented. Xixo is 0-2 here very quickly here today. He's going to look to turn this around tomorrow and then hope some things go his way. Pretty unbelievable. I thought Xixo was actually just one of the players I thought might make it through here. I mean, the guy's been on an unbelievable tear here lately, but so has Jab. I mean, he had to run into Nyria, who looked great in his first match. I mean, this group, it's hard to pick a winner out of here. Everyone in here is so good, and they've just been playing so great. And speaking of good and great players, we got a pretty good and great matchup here in the last one. It's going to be the last matchup of the day that we have coming up after this one. It's going to be Firebat versus Trump. Both of these players are trying to escape from this group 2-0. Somebody's got to do it, and then somebody's going to be put back down. Excuse me. Somebody's going to be put back down to 1-1. So don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to have that match right when we come back after this short break.